2023 is a year I think Marvel Comics would like to forget. They called it the Marvel Comics malaise, where there just isn't a lot of enthusiasm for the titles. Yeah, there's still some sales there on the major stuff like Spider-Man, maybe the mainline X-Men book. But for the most part, there's just not a lot of quality associated with Marvel Comics this past year. We're getting a look into what 2024 is going to be. And if you were disappointed in 2023, I think you're going to be disappointed, at least in the early parts of 2024, with the big outlier probably being the Ultimate line. I am excited for Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men. We'll see what happens with that one. That one looks a little bit more experimental from my eyes. But Marvel announced 3 new comic books coming out in the early parts of 2024. One of them I find okay. Sure, let's see that one. And then the other 2 I think are enormous issues and really place another spotlight that Marvel Comics are not going to be changing anytime soon, because it's almost the same thing over and over and over again. Let's get into the details about the one that doesn't look so bad. Legendary Spider-Man creators Greg Weisman and Humberto Ramos will lead the series that will introduce a fresh dynamic between Peter and Miles as they swap intelligence and tips, combine their strength against threats, and learn from each other's differences in age and experience. Their story will kick off with the duo having a run-in with the supervillain Jackal. Spectacular Spider-Man #1 will go on sale January 17th. I will always take Humberto Ramos on a series. Greg Weisman, in the past, I've liked his stuff quite a bit, and specifically some of his stuff with Marvel. I think he's done a good job. Obviously, he was the guy behind the Young Justice animated series that's been going for a while, but it seems like that one's kind of taken a downturn as of late. And Greg Weisman, I don't know, he seems like he's really into the culture war stuff. He wants to prove how woke he is to everybody. We'll see if that happens in this comic book. I don't imagine that it will, but you never know. It's 2024. There's an election right around the corner, and people are going to be losing their minds. So this has the chance to be good. I'm certainly a big fan of Peter Parker Spider-Man, less so of a fan of Miles Morales as Spider-Man, but I do really like the old school Marvel team-up books, which a lot of times featured Spider-Man. And that's what this kind of feels like. Marvel team up with another coat of paint called Spectacular Spider-Man. You know, at this point, honestly, at this point, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is something else. You know, they call him Spider-Man, but really the name Spider-Man is almost like a weight holding the character down at this point. You know, Miles Morales is a popular character. He's got a successful movie franchise, he's had successful video games, he's got successful animated series, but just continuing to call him Spider-Man, it doesn't work, because he's never going to live up to Peter Parker. He needs his own superhero name at this point. Stop calling Miles Morales Spider-Man, because he's always just going to be the lesser version of Spider-Man. Can you imagine if they started calling Dick Grayson Batman when he was the leader of the new Teen Titans or whatever, instead of Nightwing graduating up to another moniker where he got to separate himself and develop his own legacy and history and lore within Bloodhaven and within the leader of the Titans? You know, he was able to basically create his own identity, become a hero in his own right that's separate from Batman, but certainly intrinsically connected to Batman. I think they probably should take that approach with Miles at this point. You know, will Spectacular Spider-Man be good? You know, it has the possibility. I'll definitely read it. We'll see how it goes. But Greg Weisman does have some red flags on him. Like I said, a lot of people haven't been impressed with his Young Justice as of late, and it's not like he's done a whole lot of things that have gotten people really excited. But I do have enough faith left in Greg Weisman, and I have a lot of faith in Humberto Ramos that I will give it a shot, and there are expectations that it's not going to be bad. Spectacular Spider-Man definitely has the most potential of these 3 announcements, in my opinion. Now let's talk about something that's a real problem area. Marvel Comics is about to introduce a brand new Spirit of Vengeance as Ghost Rider relaunches in March with a new #1 from writer Benjamin Percy and artist Danny Kim, apparently with a new character in the lead role. Marvel's sparse announcement asked who is the new Spirit of Vengeance, along with the look at the new guy in human form on the cover of the relaunch Ghost Rider #1, and well, he kind of just looks like a guy. I'll be very surprised if this ends up being a guy. They've been setting up this story within the Ghost Rider series that's been ongoing that started out pretty well, but it's kind of died as of late, to where like Talia Warroad, the new kind of sidekick to Johnny Blaze, would be the character that I would expect to be the new Spirit of Vengeance. I don't know that the guy on the cover is absolutely the new Spirit of Vengeance. That might be a red herring. But if you've been reading Ghost Rider, I wonder if it's going to be the girl with like the gender studies haircut And the tattoos and the I don't take no crap attitude is going to be the new Spirit of Vengeance. And this is like all the things wrong with Marvel Comics wrapped up in one ball here. Oh, great, we're going to replace another long-standing hero within Marvel Comics with the new hero. We're going to reboot it to a #1 with the exact same writer and likely pick up the story that's already being told within Benjamin Percy's Ghost Rider run. Like, they got to stop doing this stuff because people are catching on. They realize that this is kind of all bullshit. It's the same thing with Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run. Wow, you're going to continue on with the same writer and the same artist on the same story. And it's the same thing with like the Tini Howard, Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain stuff. It's like, how many times can you reboot this, call it another name, put a #1 on it, but it's Tini Howard, it's the same goddamn story. If you're going to continue the story, just continue the numbering. If the sales don't warrant it, cancel the damn thing, give it a couple years, relaunch it with something new, a new direction, a new idea. Because if you're already having to relaunch this, there's obviously something wrong there. And obviously they're doing something similar with Moon Knight, which actually does seem to have pretty reliable, I wouldn't call them strong sales, but decent sales, where we're going to kill off Moon Knight and we're going to relaunch it as The Vengeance of Moon Knight with the same exact writer and artist on that one, continuing the story that was ended in the prior run. Like, stop doing this. It's so superfluous. It's so unnecessary. I know that you guys need #1s to juice up sales. How about instead of continuously rebooting stuff to the exact same stuff that you were doing and continuing stories that you were already telling with the same exact creative teams, put some more thought into the stories. Maybe market this stuff. Actually write a story that's going to get people excited to where you don't have to reboot constantly and constantly and constantly. How many fucking Spirits of Vengeance do we need right now in the universe? We've got fucking Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, Robbie Reyes, and we know in the 6 billion BC or whatever, there was a fucking Spirit of Vengeance on a woolly mammoth that turned on fire, and there's so many of them. This isn't, Cosmic Ghost Rider, also a Spirit of Vengeance. Like, how many of these fucking things do we need? The character is interesting. There is an interesting story. When it was all right when you had the second one, and I kind of like Robbie Reyes as far as the all-new, all-different diversity replacement heroes that they created at that time. Robbie Reyes might be the very best one of all of them. But man, are we just going to drop that one so fast? They continuously reboot these characters and create new versions. They put them on the sideline and make new versions of them because it's the only thing they could do to generate interest in the comic books. It's like, at some point, customers realize that a new Spirit of Vengeance doesn't mean dick anymore. And guess what? The speculators are going to realize that too, and the collectors are going to realize that this isn't all that important because in 2 years, we're going to get another Spirit of Vengeance on another #1 reboot. And I don't think this is a guy. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Talia Warroad, who was an all right character. But as soon as Ben Percy introduced her backstory, I fucking hate that character. She's straight up evil, and it makes Johnny Blaze look terrible that he hasn't fucking killed her yet. Like, that's how bad the character is. That's how many terrible, terrible deeds she has in her past and how much pain and destruction she has actually brought on her friends and family. Terrible fucking character. Now, this last announcement isn't quite as egregious as Ghost Rider #1, but it's another problem with Marvel. In February, explore the limits of the Venom symbiote startling potential in What If Venom. Brought to you by two rising Marvel stars, Jeremy Holt and artist Jesus Harvez, this new 5-issue limited series will put a bold twist on the Venom symbiote's origin as it's rejected from Eddie Brock and tossed around on a twisted trip through the Marvel universe as the symbiote crosses paths with various Marvel heroes. Readers will be introduced to new symbiote-bonded versions of She-Hulk, Wolverine, Doctor Strange, Loki, and Moon Knight. What If used to be like a really cool concept where you took a major turning point for a character or maybe just the Marvel Comics universe and you kind of twist a little bit. What if that happened a little bit differently? What if he died? What if somebody else got it beforehand? And you could get some pretty cool stories. They're always kind of one-shots or whatever. And it's definitely part of the Marvel Comics history and something that they've done a whole lot. But they're really just watering down this what if stuff. Like this What If Dark just blows. It's dark multiverse stuff from DC Comics, but done worse. And now What If Venom? Wow, what would She-Hulk look like if she had the Venom symbiote? I bet she would have big teeth and big bulging eyes and a long tongue like everybody else with the Venom symbiote. What would Wolverine look like with the Venom symbiote? Probably like everybody else with the Venom symbiote. What would Doctor Strange look like? Some people will like this, and I know Venom's a pretty popular character right now. Even though the series absolutely blows, in this humble reader's opinion, Venom sucks right now. Al Ewing is not getting it done. It still sells pretty well, and I imagine they're trying to capitalize on that and juice the market with 5 extra like Venom #1 comic books with this What If Venom. But you know, this doesn't mean anything. It's not exciting, and if anything, it just waters down like the What If concept. What if Spider-Man and Scarlet Witch were brother and sister? Well, that's fucking weird. Why would they be brother and sister? Like, they're not from the same families. Like, that is a dumb what if concept. But that's what happens when you hire the dumbest writers possible. You end up taking concepts that are really cool and making them not cool. And that kind of feels like what's happening with What If and a lot of the other concepts that maybe not gotten Marvel Comics fans super excited, but they do what they could trust. I'm like, oh yeah, Marvel Zombies, I'm down for that. That stuff's always kind of cool. And like, nah, it's not really cool anymore because you don't have cool writers. You don't have people that really understand why the fans liked it to begin with. And this is like, wow, what if we put the Venom skin on other characters? Wouldn't that be great? I don't know. I just read King in Black, and it felt like they were putting the Venom symbiotes and other symbiotes on all kinds of heroes. I think they even did Hulk or whatever. And it's like, you've already done this stuff. Now you're making its own like dedicated What If series of one-shots. What if Venom Wolverine #1? Ooh. Marvel's not cool right now. They're doing a lot of things that just aren't working. I do believe Spectacular Spider-Man has the chance to work because I think Marvel Team Up is a cool concept. We'll see what happens with Greg Weisman. I'm not fully trusting him right now, but I trust him enough to check it out. And Roberto Ramos is great. But hey, if Ben Percy can't keep his Ghost Rider series going with sales, then fucking get him off the book and find somebody else that can. Don't stop just rebooting the fucking titles with the same writers, continuing the same stories. It's absolutely fucking garbage, man. And stop ruining the What If series. In 3 or 4 years, you're accidentally going to hire somebody competent and they're going to have a good idea and then they're going to execute it. No one's going to read it because they remembered What If Venom. The good news is there is something to get excited for with Marvel Comics in 2024. In my opinion, it's the Marvel Comics Ultimate line. Jonathan Hickman on Spider-Man, Brian Hill on Black Panther, Peach Momoko on X-Men. And I had very kind words about this. This is one of the things I'm actually looking forward to a lot in 2024, especially the Spider-Man book. And I broke it all down right here, talked about all the reasons I'm excited for this line, and we'll see where it goes here. I'm not excited about these announcements, but I'm definitely excited about this. There's also a link in the video description.